my name is Amanda and today we are doing something a little bit different. As you all probably know, I am from Sweden and I want to bring a bit more Swedishness into my videos somehow, so therefore I have decided to start not a mini series but kind of I want to make more videos about Sweden and Swedish literature basically. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about some Swedish books and Swedish authors that has been or become very famous all over the world, so you have probably read some of these books because they are quite famous. So yeah, first maybe I am going to explain kind of the book culture here in Sweden currently, and that is basically all crime. Crime is the genre of Sweden and I'm not very much into crime, so therefore I have not read very much Swedish literature. And when I did the research for this video, I kind of really understood how limited my knowledge of the Swedish literature actually is, but I am hoping to improve that in the future, so yeah. So by all means, I have not read all of these books I'm going to talk about, so now I have rambled enough, so I'm just gonna start talking about the books behind me, and I would be so interested if you have actually read some of these. That would be awesome. Okay, so we're just gonna start with like the most famous crime Swedish author. That's not a good sentence. But anyway, that is Stieg Larsson, and he has written the Millennium Trilogy. This is the third book. I found it up in my dad's bookcase and I think he has read it. And yeah, it's a really famous crime series and it has become movies and it is worldwide famous. I have not read this book and I will in the near future. So the next author has written quite a lot of books and they have all become like movies and stuff, and I think they have just recently started making English versions of all the movies, and that person is Henning Mankell, and he has written all the books about the detective Kurt Wallander. That's the Swedish pronunciation of the name. And yeah, he is basically a cop who hunts down the bad guys, kind of like every crime novel there is. You can see my enthusiasm about crime, right? So the last crime novel I'm going to talk about is my mom's favorite crime book, if that makes sense, and this is The Hypnotist by Lars Kepler. This is about a man who is a detective, because it's a crime novel, and he hasn't done any hypnotizing in a very long time, but then a case comes up and he just needs to use his hypnotizing skills to like get the victim to remember things. This has not any paranormal elements whatsoever and it's just crime, no paranormal, just the hypnotizing isn't, I haven't read it so I don't know, but it isn't paranormal because my mom wouldn't read it ever then. So that was the 3 crime novels I was going to talk about. If you're into crime, then definitely check those out because they have all been translated into English, so you can find them everywhere. And also all the books I'm talking about has been translated, so you can all go and pick them up if you'd like to. Next author is an author that I have spoken a lot about here on my channel, and it is Jonas Jonasson, and he has written The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared. One of the funniest books I have ever read. It is sort of a Forrest Gumpish style. It follows a 100-year-old man whose name is Allan Karlsson, and he doesn't want to celebrate his 100th birthday, so he climbs out of the window and just disappears. So there are basically 2 plots in this book. The one where we can follow the 100-year-old Allan and he goes out and do some crazy stuff, but you can also see glimpses from his past where he has done every kind of crazy thing there is to do. So it's a very entertaining book, so I would definitely recommend it. Jonas Jonasson has also written another book which is called The Girl Who Saved the King of Sweden. I have not read this book, but it's supposed to be really funny as well, so I'm definitely going to go and buy this book very soon. The next book is also a book I have read. I feel so proud of myself, and that is The Emigrants by Vilhelm Moberg. And this is a very old book. We read it for school and I actually really enjoyed it. It follows like a bunch of farmers in the 19th century, I think, when all the Swedes started to migrate to America because they just couldn't live here anymore. And it is about the struggle that is living in Sweden in the 19th century. It is about the journey, and the series continues on with the like creating a life in America. I have not read the other books, but the first one was really interesting, at least. The next author I'm going to talk about is Guillou. Guillou has written, like, I think it's called a modern classic, kind of. It's called The Evil, and it basically is a semi-autobiographical, can't know that word, book, and it kind of follows his like growing up, childhood and so, because it deals a lot about like abuse in the family, it deals a lot with bullying in school, and we are going to read this book for class next year, and I'm planning on reading it over the summer so I kind of know what it's about before we start plucking it apart in school, but I'm sure it's very interesting. So the last adult book I'm going to talk about is Let the Right One In by Ajvide Lindqvist, and it is a vampire book, and this is quite famous. It has become a movie, and it's both a Swedish and an international movie, I think. Don't quote me on that one though. And I have not read this book either. You can see my experience with Swedish literature isn't very big, but it is basically about a girl who is a vampire and then a boy. I don't know if he finds out, but I think he does, and they kind of form a friendship. Don't quote me on that one, but I think that's sort of how it goes down, at least. I'm not sure. I have two more authors to talk about. One is a YA and one is a children's literature author. The YA authors are actually Strandberg and Sara Bergmark Elfgren. They has written the witch series called The Circle. I know that Ben from Benjamin Tomes has been talking a lot about this series, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't read the last book yet, but the first one is really good. The second one is not quite as good, but still really good. So I am planning on reading the last one pretty soon. And they are about witches, like I said. There are 6 chosen ones and they have to work together, but they don't really like each other, and there are powers and evil stuff, and yeah, it's quite entertaining, and if you like witches you should check it out. So last but not least, we have the queen. We have the queen of children's literature, and of course I'm talking about Astrid Lindgren. Some of her books were basically my childhood, like Pippi Longstocking, and also like The Brothers Lionheart, Ronja the Robber's Daughter. That's just the one I have read, and also I love the movies, and I used to dress up as Pippi Longstocking when I was a child, and good times, good times. I love Astrid Lindgren, and I have been to Astrid Lindgren's world countless times. It is basically where you can go and you can visit, and there are all these mini houses where all the characters from her books live, and there is Pippi's house and everybody's house, and it's just awesome. And yeah, that was actually all I was going to talk about. I am planning on doing some more Swedish-ish videos, and if there is anything you want to know about Sweden or Swedish books or Swedish authors or anything, just leave something in the comments and I'll see what I can do, because I am really interested in bringing more Sweden into my videos. If you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something, then you should definitely give this a thumbs up, because that would help me out a lot. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see all of you guys in my next video, so stay tuned. Bye!